A warm welcome to all the students for this lecture number 14. In the previous lecture, we have seen an algorithm which is very powerful. We said it is complete and optimal if the heuristics are admissible. It is one of the powerful algorithms. I am talking about A-star algorithm. Now one question will be always in your mind, if A-star is the best algorithm, then why do we explore yet another algorithm? Okay, the answer to this is that although A-star is the most powerful algorithm, A-star works on a particular kind of graphs and they are called as OR graphs, right? So there are also different kind of graphs which are called as AND OR graphs. We are going to shortly see what are these AND OR graphs. So your A-star algorithm is nothing but it is basically a simple modification to A-star algorithm so as to support AND OR graphs or problem reduction. Let's continue. So today's topic is problem reduction and A-star algorithm. Problem reduction technique, and then algorithm which implements this problem reduction technique is called as A-star algorithm. Okay. Now A-star is complete and optimal if heuristics are admissible. We have seen already. However, A-star it works for OR graphs only. What is an OR graph? If you consider this example, okay, you see that node A is a root node. Now A has two successors, that is B and C. Now from node A, either you can choose only B and go through this path, or you can choose only C and go through this path, right? So you can say that B and C, they are independent of each other. B will cater for a different solution, C will cater for a different solution. B and C, they will never converge. They don't have any relation between them. They are independent of each other. So the graph of this type is called as an OR graph. So far, since the first unit was started, all the state spaces that we have seen, all the graphs that we have come across, all of them are OR arcs. And A-star algorithm that we saw in the last lecture, okay, it is the best algorithm for a state space which contains OR graphs. But then there are also something called as AND OR graphs. Okay, what is an AND OR graph? To explain this AND OR graph, I'll take an example. Suppose you want to acquire a TV. So let's say your goal is to acquire a TV. Okay, graphically speaking. Okay, let's say this is a node, which is a goal node, which is a goal that you acquire a TV. Now, what are the sub goals which are to be solved in order to achieve this particular goal? Right? Now, there are two options to achieve this goal. One, you can either steal a TV, right? You can steal a TV, or you can earn some money and then buy the TV, right? Okay, now why this particular problem is taken? Please see, there is something called as OR over here, there is something called as AND over here. Let me explain. Now your main goal is what? The problem is that you need to acquire a TV. Okay, so you can get this particular goal achieved if this sub goal is achieved independently. That means you can steal a TV. Once you steal a TV, it means you acquire a TV. Now this is a independent, this goal is independent of other goals. But now if you look at these two, okay, if you don't want to steal, then what are the other options? So either this is an option or these two options. Okay, so this is a OR graph, right? This part, if you see, it's an OR graph. Either this branch independently or maybe this full graph, second branch. So this is OR, right? Now let us see this particular section. Now to acquire a TV, first you have to earn some money, and once you earn the enough money, then you can go to the shop and you can buy a TV set. So please see the sub goal over here, earning some money, is dependent on this sub goal, that is buying TV set. Okay, if you don't have goal of buying TV set, then you will not save that much money, right? So also this goal of buying TV is dependent on this sub goal. That means You can buy a TV only if you have earned enough money. So buying TV is dependent on earning some money, and earning money is also dependent on buying TV set. Unless and until you have some aim of buying something, you will not be saving that much amount. So you see, this main goal can be achieved only if this sub goal is achieved and this sub goal is achieved together. Okay, when both of these are achieved, only then you can say that this particular goal is achieved. So whenever there is such dependency, okay, we represent it using an arc like this, connecting both the sub goals, and that arc is called as end arc. And if you see this section, okay, if you see only this section of the graph, that graph is called as end graph. The graph that involves only end arcs is called as end graph. Okay, now if you see the other section, okay, either this full thing is one option or only this is an option. So since there is OR over here, okay, this section of the graph becomes OR graph, and this section of the graph becomes end graph. So ultimately this full graph is called as end OR graph. Okay, now since we are talking about problem reduction, what is the meaning of problem reduction? Okay, see, problem reduction is a technique wherein given a particular problem, okay, given a particular problem, okay, you are reducing the problem into sub problems, then you are individually solving those two or n number of sub problems, and once you solve all those sub problems, you get your problem also solved, main problem also solved. So this is a problem reduction, reduction of a problem into sub goals, or reduction of a goal into sub goals, both of which have to be solved in order to solve the goal itself, right? So let us get more clear insight over this by seeing another example. I'll give you a simple example. Consider a problem of multiplication of three matrices, namely A1, A2, A3. Here I am assuming that the dimensions of matrices A1, A2 and A3 is such that multiplication of those three matrices is possible. Okay, so let's see what is our main goal. Our main goal is to achieve A1, A2, A3, multiplication of A1, A2, A3. Let us represent this main goal with a node, say 1. Now how do we achieve this? Okay, either you can multiply A1 and A2 and to the resultant matrix A1, A2, then you can multiply A3. This is one option. Or the second option is you can multiply A2, A3, and then to the resultant matrix, that is A2, A3, you can multiply A1. So ultimately you have two options. One, you multiply A2, A3, and to this resultant matrix you multiply A1. I will call it as node 2. Second option is you multiply A1, A2, and to this resultant matrix you multiply A3. I will call it node 3, right? So this goal can be solved independently by either this sub goal or this sub goal. So either this way only you will get an answer, or this way only you will get an answer. So this is an OR arc. These are called as OR arcs. Okay, or this is called as a OR graph. Either only this branch will take you to the solution, or only this branch individually will be giving you solution. See, 2 and 3, they are not dependent on each other. Either only this way you can solve the problem, or only this way you can solve the problem. Let's continue further. Now how do we get this? A1 into A2, A3. How do we get this? Okay, so let's consider that A1 is the matrix and node 4 represents that matrix. Okay, so then, okay, to achieve this multiplication, you will have A1 and you will have A2, A3, right? Fine. Now to achieve this multiplication, first you will have to multiply A2, A3, and then to this result you will have to multiply A1. So you see 4 and 5, they are dependent on each other. Okay, unless and until 5 or unless and until A2, A3 is not multiplied so that you get a resultant matrix, A1 you will not be able to multiply to it, right? So this 4 is dependent on 5, right? So you have an end arc over here. So only after this sub goal and this sub goal both are achieved, that means A1 is multiplied to A2, A3 together, only then this the higher goal, that is A1, A2, A3 is achieved here. Now if you go through this particular branch, you see that you can achieve this again by considering, say, A3 is a separate matrix, so I will consider that as node 7, and then A1 A2, which is a resultant matrix, I will represent it with node 6, and then after you multiply A1 A2 to the resultant matrix, you have to multiply A3. So again there is a dependency between 6 and 7. So only after 6 and 7 together, if they are solved, okay, then you will be able to achieve 3. So here also there will be AND. So 6 and 7, when they are solved together, will be able to solve 3. That's the meaning of it. Now what is A2 A3? To achieve A2 A3, you will have to take a separate matrix A2, you will have to take matrix A3. So let A1, A2 and A3, like A1, they are independent matrices 8 and 9, and then A1 you will have to multiply it with A3. So there is a dependency. Okay, A3 has to exist, only then A2 can be multiplied to A3. Similarly, A3 has to exist, only then A3 can be multiplied to A2, and so on. Right? So there is dependency. So here also there will be AND OR. Similarly, how do I achieve A1 A2? Let A1 correspond to node 10. Let A1 be that matrix. Let A2 be another matrix correspond to node 11, and then to achieve A1 into A2, there has to be dependency. That means 10 and 11 both have to be solved. Only then you get this. So here also there is AND OR. So this is a simple example of your AND OR graph. If you see only this part of the graph, it is a OR graph. If you see the remaining part of the graph, it is AND graph. So this kind of graph is called as AND OR graph. Next, we will see how problem reduction procedure works. Okay, so we will see an example of a state space, and we will use this problem reduction technique to solve or to get the solution in that state space. Before we start solving the AO star algorithm, let us first see how AO star algorithm works on an AND OR graph. Okay, now suppose this is the AND OR graph that we have. Node A, whose successor node is B, okay, whose heuristic value is 5. Then C is another successor node whose heuristic value is 3, and D is a successor node whose heuristic value is 4, and there is an AND OR over here. Okay, now before we see how the calculation is done, one thing is very important. Remember, at any point when f of n value of any node is revised, the value has to be also back propagated to all its parent nodes, right? Another thing, the graph that we are going to see now, this is a minimization kind of problem. Okay, so as I told you that AO star is basically, it's an extension to A star only. So it also has something called as f function calculation, which is nothing but h value plus g value of any node. Right? Now let us see. Okay, so that means from A there are 3 options. Now which path do the algorithm select at this stage? Okay, let's calculate. Now first let us find out, okay, f value of B. Notice that B is a normal OR arc. This kind of nodes we have seen in the previous problems also, in A star also. So f of B is equal to heuristic value of B, that is 5, plus G value. Now please note that in A star, whenever we used to say G value, we said it is the path, it is the actual cost incurred in moving from the initial state to the current state. Okay, in AO star algorithm, we are not going to consider the total cost incurred from moving from the initial state to the current state. Rather, the G value of any node will comprise of the cost incurred in moving from the immediate parent node to that current node, right? So f of b, the heuristic value is 5, and also we are assuming in this problem that across all the edges in the graph, okay, the cost is unit cost, right? That means you will see that no cost value will appear on any of the edge. That means the cost to traverse from one node to another node is 1, right? So f of b is 5, which is its heuristic value, plus unit cost that is incurred, okay, in reaching from the parent node, immediate parent node, to the current node, that is 1 unit cost along this edge. So 5 plus 1, that is equal to 6. This is how we calculate f value in AO star algorithm. We don't consider, this is how we calculate f value. We don't consider g of any node as the actual cost incurred in moving right from the initial state to the current state. Rather, we consider the actual cost incurred in moving from the immediate parent state to that current state. Okay. Now why so? Because AO star, as I have said, as f value is computed for a particular node, this f value is back propagated to its parent, then to its parent, and so on, and the value gets propagated till the initial state. As a result, when you consider g of n, you don't have to consider the g of n right from the initial state to that current state. Rather, you have to consider the g value from its immediate parent to itself, right? Okay. And just as an example, suppose for this b, okay, just assume that for this b there were another two nodes, okay, say E and F, and just assume that this path was being followed. So you ignore the heuristic values that we have taken for C and D, just for example sake, okay, just ignore the heuristic values and assume that the f value among all this f value, the smallest f value happens to be of B, okay. Accordingly, you assume the heuristic value of C and D, okay. Just for example sake, assume that suppose the algorithm decides to choose the path from B, right? Then first it will check whether B is a goal node. Now suppose B is not a goal node, then B is expanded further. Suppose after expanding B, okay, there are two nodes which are generated. Suppose E has heuristic value 4 and F has heuristic value say 5, example. I am just showing you how the F value for node E will be found out, okay. So F value for node E will be its heuristic value, that is 4, plus the G value for E, and G value for E is what? If it was A star algorithm, then G of E, you would have considered the actual cost incurred in moving from A to B, that is 1 unit, and then B to E, that is 2 units. So total you would have written 2 over here. But for AO star, the G value for any node comprises of only the actual cost incurred in moving from the immediate parent node to itself. So from B, 1 unit cost is incurred along this path to reach E. So the G value of E will be that will be 1. Okay, which is the cost along this edge that connects the previous parent node to the current node. So f of E will be 4 plus 1, that will be 5. Okay, just for example I have just shown you this. Okay, now let us continue with the problem that we were discussing. Okay, assume that B is not expanded. Fine. Assume that B is not expanded, and as we have already seen, the heuristic value for B was 5, right? Now that we have calculated the f value of B, that is 6, so B gets value 6. Please note, in this problem the updated f values for any node I will be depicting with red color. Okay, now since after a particular G value has been updated, after a particular f value has been updated for any node, so f of B is now 6, okay, that value has to be backed up to its parent. So now what will happen? The value of B will be backed up to its parent, correct? So parent node will get value 6. Now remember, whenever see how you have got this value 6, it is nothing but heuristic value, that is 5, plus the cost incurred along this one edge. So this 1 unit is already considered, and that's how it becomes 6. So while back propagating, here directly 6 will be back propagated. This cost, which is already considered in calculation of this value, will not be again taken while back propagating. Okay, but suppose, as I said in the previous problem, okay, suppose B, the path through B was chosen, and suppose E and F, as we had considered earlier, were the child nodes. Suppose the value of E was 5, value of F was say 7. Now what would have happened? Just check. Okay, now what would have happened? When you calculate F of E, okay, when you calculate F of E is nothing but, it is the heuristic value of E, that is 5, plus, okay, plus the cost along the edge that connects B and E, plus 1, so that is 6. Correct? So the F of E would be 6. Now in calculation of here it will be 5 plus 1. 1 is the cost along the edge connecting B and E. Correct? So F of E is how it is calculated. F of E is nothing but the heuristic value 5 plus the unit cost that is incurred in connecting B with E, 1. So while calculating F of E, this unit cost which is along this edge is already considered, and that's how you got 6. So when the value of E is back propagated to its immediate parent, okay, what will be back propagated? So 6 will be back propagated to its parent. Correct? So whatever is the newly found F value of E, that is 6, here the same value will be back propagated to its parent. Right? Now while back propagating, we will not again consider this one edge. Why? Because in calculation of F of E, this edge is the cost along that edge is already considered, and that's how it is 6. So you directly back propagate the same value to B. But now please note what will happen further. Okay, as I've told you that the values of the F values after updating, when F value of a particular node is revised, this value has to be also back propagated to all its parent. Now E's immediate parent is B, but B's parent is A, so this value has to be again propagated to A also. Now please consider that this part, suppose this part is not there. Okay, let's ignore this part. We only focus on this particular part of the tree. Ignore this part. Now, so B gets value 6. Now, what value will be backed up at A? Okay, so what will be the backup value of A? What value A will get as a backup value? It will be the F value of B, that is 6. And to reach A, you have to traverse along this 1 unit cost path, right? So the value that A will get will be this 6, which is a updated value of B, plus unit cost along the path that connects B to A, and that's how here this value which A gets will be 6 plus 1, right? 6 is the updated value of B, and 1 unit is the cost incurred in moving from B back to A, so that 1 unit. So the value that A will get will be 7 and not 6. Correct? So this is how the values are backed up in AO star when we are dealing with OR graphs only. I have not yet dealt with a AND graph, okay, or AND arc we have not seen. Correct? So this is how we deal with the OR graphs. Now let's continue our original problem that I was solving. Okay, so assume that these nodes are not there, so that F of E and all is not there, and assume that this is the tree. So I come back to the original problem that I had taken, right? So far what we have done, we found out, okay, I will be using red color to denote F values. So we found out F of B so far, and it is 6. So B gets the value 6, correct? And this same value 6 will be propagated to its parent. Please note students, the value that is propagated from B to A is not 7, it is not 6 plus 1 unit. Why? Because for calculating this F value of B, this 1 unit cost along this edge is already involved, and that's how the value is 6. So the same value will be back propagated to the parent. But if this is further back propagated, then the unit cost along the further edge will be considered. So from A, suppose there was another parent node, then that parent node would have got backup value at 6 plus 1, 7. Okay. Now we have to also find out F value of the arc. Now there is a formula that you need to see. F value of an arc CD. Okay. So I am talking about this particular end arc. It is called as arc CD. Okay. How do you calculate this? It is equal to F value of node C plus F value of node D. This is a general formula. F value of any arc CD is nothing but individual F value of node C, individual F value of node D. Okay. Now let us see how do we calculate F of C. F of C will be, okay, ignore this part and just see what is F of C. F of C will be the heuristic value of C, that is 3, plus G value of C will be a cost, the actual cost incurred in moving from immediate parent node A to C, that is 1 unit along the edge. So 3 plus 1 plus, let's find out what is F of D. F of D is nothing but the heuristic value of D, that is 4, plus the cost incurred in moving from the immediate parent node A to D, that cost is 1 unit along the edge, so 1. So 3 plus 1 is 4 and 4 plus 1 is 5. So the heuristic, so the F value of the arc CD will be 9. So it is nothing but, how do you calculate F value of this any arc? It is the sum of the heuristic values plus 1 plus the cost incurred along the edges connecting the immediate parent node. So 1 cost along this path, 1 cost along this path. So 1 plus 1, 2 plus 3 plus 4 comes to 9. Right? So the F value that we get for this end arc is 9. Okay, that means now once you get updated value of F value for this arc, that value has to be back propagated or backed up to its parent. So when this value is backed up to the parent, okay, the same value will be assumed by the parent. It will not be 9 plus 1 plus 1, because the 1 plus 1, these edges unit cost, they are already involved in calculation of F of CD. So when you are backing up the same value to the immediate parent, it will be the same value 9, like what I said for 6, right? Now once this is done, what AO star algorithm does it now compares its choice whether to move from this path so that B is expanded further, or whether to move in this path so that C and D is expanded further. Okay, to do that it compares the backed up value that is reached. Okay, F of A, if you take this path, F of A happens to be 6. If you take this path along arc CD, the F of A happens to be 9. Since it's a minimization problem, AO star decides that 6 is a better value than 9, because 6 is lower than 9, and finally it decides to do the expansion from this end only. Right? In the next iteration, it decides to expand B. So while it decides to expand B, the first thing what it will check is, it will check whether B is a goal node, and if not B is a goal node, then B will be further expanded, and the same process will continue. So this is basically how the AO star algorithm works. Next we are going to see a problem, a full-fledged problem, wherein I will be using these principles and I will be solving the problem. Okay. Now we will see the working of AO star algorithm on an end or graph. Okay. Now before we continue, we remember one thing, that we are going to consider a problem that is a minimization problem. So the goal node will be the one whose heuristic value will be 0, and second, the cost along the edges of this graph is uniform, and that too unit cost. That means an edge connecting any two nodes will have value 1 associated with it. Okay, so let us begin. Now suppose initially A is the root node, and assume that the heuristic value associated with A is 5. The algorithm checks whether A is a goal node. A is not a goal node because the heuristic value is 5, not 0. So A is expanded further. Now let us assume that when A is expanded further, okay, it has 3 child nodes B, C and D, right? B and C, for B and C there is an AND arc. The heuristic value of B happens to be 3, the heuristic value of C happens to be 4, and D is an OR arc. The heuristic value associated with D is say 5. Okay, now what happens in this algorithm is that whenever the F value is calculated, this F value is backed up to its parent. Now when we are going to deal with this AND arc, okay, the first thing what we do is we find out F of AND arc BC. Okay, so the heuristic value of node B is 3, the heuristic value of node C is 4, right? Heuristic value of node B is 3, the heuristic value of node C is 4, and then what value will be backed up at A? It will be heuristic value of these two nodes and the cost along the edges, right? So F of BC will be 3 plus 4, right, and plus cost along the edges, 1 unit from here, 1 unit from here, so plus 2. So F of BC will be 9, right? So that means the heuristic the F value calculated for the arc BC is 9, which means that the value, if we take this particular path, then the value that will be backed up to the parent node will be 9, correct? Now let us check what happens for the node D. Okay, what happens for the node D? Now the heuristic value of node D is 5, right? Then F of node D will be 5 plus 1. Okay, so the value that will be backed up to the parent A from D will be 5, that is heuristic value, plus 1 is the cost along the edge that is connecting A with D, right? So 5 plus 1 will be 6, right? So the heuristic the F value of the node D will be 6, and the value that will be backed up to the parent will be this value 6, correct? So at the end, so this is basically step 1 of the algorithm, right? So at the end of this step, the algorithm compares the backup values that we obtained from different branches. So from this branch it gets the backup value 9, whereas from this branch it gets the backup value 6, and the algorithm decides to choose the minimum backup value because it is the best value, right? So at the end of step 1, the algorithm decides that it is going to take this path, that means it is going to expand along node D further. This ends with step 1. Okay, then in step 2, okay, I will draw the tree again. So we have started with A, right? A had B and C, two child nodes forming AND arc, B and C, two child nodes forming AND arc, right? And the third node, that is D, was an OR arc, okay? And we just found out in the previous iteration, previous step, that the value that was backed up from this side happened to be F value happened to be 9, right? And we decided to choose this value because the backup value that we got from this side happened to be 6, and 6 was lesser than 9, right? So then we decided to expand D, right? So now in step number 2, the algorithm before expanding D, it checks where D is the goal node. Now is D the goal node? If you see the heuristic value of D, the heuristic value of D is 5, not 0. So D is not a goal node. So if D is not goal node, that means D can be expanded further. Now when D is expanded further, we find out that D has 2 child nodes. One is E and the second one is F. The heuristic value of E is 4. The heuristic value of F is also 4. And there is an AND arc connecting E and F, suppose, right? So now since there is an AND arc, we have to calculate the F value for this AND arc, and then we have to see what value is backed up to D and then to A, right? So we find out what is F of the arc EF, right? We find out what is F of the arc EF. So the heuristic value of node E happens to be 4 plus, okay, 1 unit along this edge, 4 plus 1, plus the heuristic value of node F happens to be 4 and plus 1 unit along the edge, so 4 plus 1 will be 5 again. So this comes to 10. So which means F of arc EF happens to be 10, right? So what value is backed up from this level to D? It is 10, because we have just found out the F of this particular arc happens to be 10. So value backed up to D is 10. Now from D, this value has to be again backed up to its parent. Now for D, the backup value of F is 10, right? So what will be the backup value that you get over here? It will be 10 plus the cost of 1 unit along this edge. So 10 plus 1. So what value will be backed up to A? The value that is backed up to A will be 10, which is the latest value, F value of D, plus 1 unit cost along the edge. So 10 plus 1, 11. So the previous value, F value that it was giving up is cancelled, and it is overwritten with the current value, that is 10. It simply means that if the algorithm decides to expand D, okay, expand through this EF, the backup value that you get is 10, right? Now the algorithm again checks, okay, and sees that if it expands through this particular arc EF, if the expansion is made through arc EF, okay, the backup value that you get is 11. This is not 10, this is 11. The value that you get here is 11, not 10. Okay, see, D's F value, updated F value is 10. So the backup value that A will get is 10 plus 1. So total 11. By mistake I wrote 10. Please note. Okay, so algorithm sees that if the further expansion continues from arc EF, then the backup value that it would get is 10. Root node will get is 10. Whereas if you switch the branch and continue expansion from arc BC, then the backup value that you get is 9. Okay, and then it identifies that since 9 is lower, that means 9 is better than 11, algorithm finally decides to take or to switch the path, and it decides that the expansion it will be done from arc BC and not from this end, right? So in step 3, this is the end of step 2. In step 3, okay, the tree that is revealed to us so far, I am just redrawing it. Okay, we started with A as the root node, B and C where the end arcs and A also had another successor called as D. Okay, D was further expanded to get the end arc EF. Correct? And in the previous step we saw that the backup value that we get from this side happens to be 9. Okay, the F value of that A gets if you continue expanding from arc BC is 9, whereas the backup value that node A will get if you continue expansion through EF happens to be 11. Okay, and that is why in the previous step the algorithm decided to expand through BC. Okay, now notice that BC is an end arc, so that means in order to solve the arc BC, B will have to be solved and then C will have to be solved, or in any order, either C can be solved first or B can be solved first. Let us assume that we expand B first or we solve B first. So now suppose when B is expanded further, okay, B results into a node say G and another node that is H. Suppose the heuristic value of G happens to be 5 and the heuristic value of H happens to be 7, right? And this is not an end arc, suppose this is OR arc. Now what happens? Correct? So since this is a minimization problem, okay, what backup value you will get at B? We will just check what backup value will be obtained at B. First of all, we find out what is f of g. F of g will be 5, that is heuristic value, plus 1 unit cost along this edge. So 5 plus 1 6. So okay, so if we select node G, then the backup value that you get at B is 6. And suppose this was selected, then what backup value do you get here? So what is the f value of node H? It will be 7, that's a heuristic value, plus 1 unit along the cost. So the backup value that you get at B if this node is selected is 8. Now out of these two nodes, okay, which node is giving you the least F value? It will be this, because it's a minimization problem, right? So if G is selected, the backup value that you get to the parent B is going to be 6, correct? Where, so I'll just write it here, F of node G is nothing but it is the heuristic value of node G, that is 5, plus the unit cost that is incurred, 5 plus 1, right? F of G will be 5 plus unit cost that is incurred to move from B to G. So 5 plus 1 is 6, right? And if f of h is calculated, then it is nothing but 7 plus 1, that is 8, right? So since it is minimization problem, 6 is selected over 8, so that means node G is selected over H, and after selecting G, what backup value do you get at B? It is 6, right? Now although see the new F value that is obtained at B is 6, okay, remember that this is end arc. Now we have just solved B. C also has to be solved. So unless and until B and C, both the sub goals are solved, you cannot solve A. So since we have solved B, now we have to solve C. Okay, so what we do now, okay, at the end of this step, okay, we decide now we expand C, which is a sub goal along with B. Okay, so now in step 4, okay, I will just copy this tree so that every time I don't have to draw it again. Okay, so far this is the tree that we have obtained. This is the tree that we have obtained, and the value that we have got at B is 6. Okay, So then what we do? We expand C further. Now assume that when C is expanded further, okay, when C is expanded further, C has only one child node, that is say L, okay, and the heuristic value of this L happens to be say 5. Okay, heuristic value of this L happens to be 5. So then we find out what is we check for before doing this. Okay, before expanding C, we have to check whether C is a goal node. C is not a goal node, so then we expand C. C is not goal node because you see the heuristic value of C happens to be 4, right? So heuristic value of C happens to be 4, correct? So C is not a goal node, that's why we expanded, okay, to generate the first child, that is L. That's only one child, suppose. Okay, so then we calculate here f of L. So it is nothing but 5. Heuristic value of L is 5. And what is the cost along the edge? Okay, so 1 unit cost, okay, along the edge. So L is connected to C with 1 unit, 1 edge, right? So 5 plus 1. So it comes to 6. Correct? So f of L is 5 plus 1, that is equal to 6. So this value 6 will be backed up at the parent. So what backup value C will get? C will get a backup value of 6. So the new value of new f value of C will be 6, right? So now notice that we have solved B and we got the revised backup value of 6. F value, backup f value is 6, and when we solved C, what we got is we got this revised backup value of f value of node C, that is also 6, right? So now B is 6, C is also 6. So now what will be f of BC? We'll have to recalculate it. So f of BC will be f of B plus f of C. F of B will be 6 plus unit cost along the edge. F of C will be 6 plus unit cost along the edge. So what value will be backed up at A? Earlier it was 9. Now the value that will be backed up at A will be 7 plus 7, that is 14. Okay, so the f value that you get here for BC will be 14, which will be backed up to the parent. The value that will be backed up to the parent will be 14. So previous value of f will be cancelled and now the new value will be 14, right, in step 4. Now at the end of this step, at the end of step 4, we can easily, algorithm can easily see that if we expand through this particular through G, suppose if we expand further through G, then the backup value that is obtained at A is 14, but if you expand through the edge EF, the arc EF, the backup value that is obtained is 11. And now algorithm understands that this path is better than this path because 11 is better than 14 being a minimum value. So algorithm again decides to switch the path. Okay, the algorithm again decides to switch the path, and from instead of expanding from G further, it decides to expand through arc EF further. Correct? So this ends with the step 4. So in step 4, at the end it decides to expand from here. Okay, and at the end of step number 4, the algorithm has decided to do the expansion through arc EF. Now let's continue what happens next. Now notice that arc EF happens to be an end arc, so you will have to solve E and you will have to solve F, and only then you will be able to get the value of arc EF, which will be propagated to D, right? So now assume that first we are going to expand say F. Okay, so when F is expanded further, F has two child nodes. Suppose one is J with value 5 and the other one is k with value 6. Fine. So now we will calculate. In the previous calculation, the value that was backed up from this particular branch happens to be 11. Now we will see whether this value can this 11 can be reduced, or if we can get a better value. Okay, let's check. So now next what we do is we find out f of, okay, before expansion the algorithm checks whether f is a goal node. Since f was not a goal node, since f's heuristic value was 4, it's not a goal node, so it was expanded further. That is in this step number 5. So now we calculate f of j. We calculate f of j, the first node. Now the heuristic value of j happens to be 5, plus the cost along the edge connecting f with j happens to be 1. So 5 plus 1 is 6. F of k will be, the heuristic value of k happens to be 6, and the cost along the edge connecting f with k is 1, right? So this will be 7, correct? So the value that will be backed up to the parent will be, it will be 6. Okay, so that is the heuristic value is 5 and 1 unit along the edge. So the value that will be returned will be 6. Why j was selected? Because j happens to be the minimum f valued node compared to k, right? So f value of j was lesser than f value of k. That's why. Now the backup value that you obtained at f is 6. But now let us see what value will be propagated back to d. D, here there is an AND arc. EF is an AND arc. We have just solved f. Unless and until we also solve E, we will not be able to get the backup value here. So now we have to solve or expand E also, right? So what we do is, at the end of step 5 we expand E further. Okay, so let's start with step 6. Now node E is supposed to be expanded. Now let's say when E is expanded, E has two child nodes. One is I, whose heuristic value happens to be 0, and the other one, it's a M, whose heuristic value is 3. Now please note that I, since its heuristic value is 0, it is obvious that I is the goal node and our aim was to reach the goal. Fine. So now in this iteration, after checking whether E is a goal node, E was not a goal node, so we decided to expand E. When E was expanded, two more nodes were found, successors were found, that is I and J. Okay, so now let's find out f of I and f of M. Okay, so f of I, the heuristic value of node I will be 0, plus the unit cost along the edge connecting E and I is 1. So f of I is 1. Similarly f of M, the heuristic value of M is 3, plus the unit cost along the edge connecting E and M is 1. So you write 1 here. So 3 plus 1 is 4. Out of these two, since f of I is lesser than f of M, okay, the algorithm decides to choose I, correct? So what value will be backed up to E? The value that will be backed up to E will be 1. Okay, how this one is calculated, how f value of E is calculated, backed up value, the heuristic value will be 0 and the cost along the edge will be 1. So 0 plus 1 is 1. So f of I is 1 and the same value will be backed up to its parent. Fine. So now in the previous iteration we had solved f and now we have solved E also, right? So now we finally calculate what is f of EF. F of EF will be the heuristic value of, or with nothing but f of E plus f of F. Now f of E is what? We have already found out the Bechdel value. F of E, the Bechdel value, that is 1, plus f of F, the Bechdel value, that is 6, right? And then to get the value for D, we have to also consider the cost along the edges connecting E and F. Okay, 1 unit along this edge, 1 unit along this edge. So plus 2, right? So 6 plus 1, 7, plus 2, that is 9. So the value that will be backed up, okay, from this side, the value that will be backed up to D will be 9, right? And now see, this is not end arc, this is OR arc. Okay, so what we have done is, from I, the value that was backed up was 1. So E's updated F value, E's updated F value was 1 and F's updated F value was 6. So then we calculated the backup value here, backed up value, that is nothing but 6 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1, cost along the two edges connecting D. So the backup value that we get is 9. Now we have to find out what is the backup value that you obtained at A. Okay, so what is the new value of, what is the new F value of D? It is 9. So then backup value of A will be 9 plus unit cost along the edge connecting D and A. So it will be 9 plus 1, right? So 10. So what is the new backup value that you get at A? The new backup value will be 10. The old was 11, now you get 10. Fine. The new backup value that you get is 10, right? Whereas at the end of this calculation, when the algorithm sees which path to consider, okay, it realizes that if you continue with from I, expansion from I, that is from I to E, then to D and to A, if you follow this path, the backup value that you obtained is 10. But if you follow the expansion through G further, then the backup value that you obtained is 14. So looking at 14 and 10, algorithm decides to select for this particular path for expansion. Since this path is better than this, F value through this path is 10, the F value that is obtained through this path is 14, 10 is better than 14. So the algorithm, at the end of this step 6, algorithm decides to expand, to perform the expansion through I, because all these values have been backed up from I onwards, right? Now we start with step 7. And remember, whenever you are expanding a node, just before that the algorithm checks whether that node happens to be the goal node. Now it is decided to expand I in the step 6. In step 7, before expanding I, the algorithm finds out whether I is a goal node. Okay, and what do we get? We get that I is goal node. Why? Because its heuristic value is 0. Now consider that A is the root node, and when A is expanded, the child nodes are E, C and D. Assume that there is an end arc over CD and the node D is not solvable. Now a node is said to be not solvable if it is a leaf node, and from that and it is also not the goal node. So if a node is a leaf node and it is not a goal node, then that node is called as not solvable or unsolvable, right? And remember that in problem reduction algorithm, whenever we are dealing with end graphs or end arc, both the sub goals have to be solved, only then the arc CD can be solved further. If any one of these is not solved, then the arc cannot be solved. That means this arc cannot be expanded forward. If one of the goal is not solvable, the arc cannot be expanded further, right? So now let's begin. So assume that problem reduction algorithm chooses this particular path. It chooses node E for expansion based on the calculations. Then when E is expanded first, suppose E has two child nodes, one is G and the other one is H. Again, based on the calculation, suppose problem reduction algorithm decides to expand H further. Okay, now when H is expanded further, suppose H has two child nodes, one is I and the second one is J. Okay, so far so good. Now assume that when J is expanded further, J has a successor, that is E. Okay, so that means suppose this C has two child nodes, F and E. But note that we have not expanded along this C. We have, so far the algorithm has done the expansion along this path only. So the algorithm does not know that the successor for G happens to be node E, because it has not explored C at all, right? Now see what happens. So far suppose the algorithm explores till node G. Now suppose when J is expanded further, the algorithm realizes that J has a successor. Okay, J has a successor, that is E. Okay, J has a successor, that is E. Now if you note carefully, then from node A, in order to reach node E, the path that we have considered is A to E, E to H, H to J and J to E. But this path looks longer than the other available path. What is the other available path? You could have also gone from A to C and C to E. So A to C, C to E is a much smaller path. Okay, but it was not explored. Why? Because this particular branch was considered by the problem reduction algorithm. So the other branches were not considered. So because of this, problem reduction algorithm does not know that after expanding node C there is E. Okay, this path is not known to the problem reduction algorithm. But if you think carefully, the path through C, okay, the path through C that reveals or that leads to a solution, okay, the path through C that leads to solution, this path will be available only if this it would have done the expansion along this particular path, right? Now notice that, however, path through C will only lead to a solution if there is a solution through D. Okay, path through C will only give you the solution only if there is a solution through node D. But please note that this node D is not solvable. Okay, so since D is not solvable, if any one of the sub goal is not solvable, we say that the arc CD is also not solvable. And if the arc is not solvable, as I have said, you will not be able to expand through this particular arc. That means you will not be able to expand C as well as you will not be able to expand D. If one of these sub goals, if one of them is not solvable, then this entire arc is not solvable. That means you cannot expand from this arc. And because of which, although visually you can easily say that A to C, C to E is a shorter path, you will never be able to take that path. Okay, and although this is a shorter path, okay, you will realize, okay, that it will be wise to follow the longer path, that is from A to E, E to H, H to J and J to E, right? The algorithm will never be able to take this shorter path, that is from A to C, C to E, because there is a sub-goal D over here which is not solvable. So although C can be solved, C is solvable, it can be expanded further. D is a leaf node and it is also not the goal node. So this is not solvable. So since that one sub-goal is not solvable, although there is one possible solution which appears to be shorter, this solution algorithm will never be able to view. So algorithm will never know that there exists a shorter path from A to C, C to E, and it will end up taking the longer path that reaches E. So this actually hampers the optimality because one of the nodes in the AND arc happens to be not solvable. So this is basically the one of the disadvantages of problem reduction algorithm. This is one case. This is the second case. As you can see here in this particular graph, node A, when you expand further, has the child nodes, that is C and D. Now subgoal C and subgoal D, they are dependent on each other because there is an AND arc over here. Okay, to solve A, I have to solve C as well as I have to solve D. Fine, but also see that, okay, let's say if you expand from C, node C, this node C, it leads to a solution. Similarly, if you expand from this node E, assume that node E also leads to a solution. So if you ignore the further part, if you just ignore the first step, that is you just if you consider only node A, C and D and don't see the further expansion, so don't see this particular edge and don't see this particular edge. So if you do that, you will see that this is an AND graph. Okay, but when you ignore the top part, when you are going to ignore this red part and you are going to see only this bottom part, now it is clear that it's a OR graph. Fine. So this is one problem that or this is one confusion that is there with respect to the AO star. Now let's talk about it. Now see, since node C as well as node D both lead to solution, our algorithm that we have already seen, okay, it will report a complete solution that includes both of them, both the solutions, right? Now the AND OR graph, it states that for this A to be solved, both C and D, they have to be solved because this is an AND arc, correct? Now, but then algorithm considers the solution of D as completely separate process than the solution of C. Why? Because if you consider D onwards, then it's an OR graph. That means from D, either you can take only this path or you can take only this path. So from D onwards, it's an OR graph, correct? But if you see from here, okay, in order to solve main goal A, C also has to be solved and D also has to be solved. That means the algorithm should include this solution as well as this solution. But when D is expanded further, you realize that D has an OR graph. D actually is an OR graph. That is, from D either you can choose C independently or D independently. So one of the solutions you will get, right? Now looking just at the alternatives from D, okay, you ignore the first part and just start looking at the alternatives from D, you will realize that E is the best path. But it turns out that C is necessary anyway. Okay, so although assume that from D, suppose E is the best part, assume that from D E is the best part that leads to solution, but you can't take that part. You will have to also consider this C. Why? Because there is an AND arc over here. In order to solve D and then continue from D, okay, this AND arc should be solved. So that means D as well as C both have to be solved, right? It turns out that C is necessary anyway, because unless and until C and D both are solved, this AND arc won't be solved, and unless and until this AND arc gets solved, you will not be able to proceed further from the AND arc. So this from D you will not be able to proceed to E, correct? So it turns out that C is necessary anyway, so it would be better also to use it to satisfy D. So you will have to use C also, okay? But our algorithm, since it does not consider such interactions, it will find the non-optimal path, right? So this is basically another you can say another case, special case, which shows that your Endor graph, that is your AO star algorithm, fails over here.